What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're talking about what happened to my social life after I quit drinking. So I quit drinking about 5 years ago. So a pretty decent amount of time has passed since the last time I've been drunk. Don't get me wrong, I've had like a glass of champagne for a toast here and there, but I haven't had a beer or shots or anything like that. Nowhere near tipsy or drunk in the last 5 years. And like I said, other than a glass of champagne, I really haven't touched alcohol at all. So as you can imagine, a lot of changes happened to my social life after I quit drinking. Throughout high school and even the beginning of university, a lot of my social outings were actually centered around alcohol as like a main theme, right? When you go to a house party when you're young, that tends to be the main sort of glue holding everyone together. That's kind of what everybody's there for. Everybody's there to socialize. But at the end of the day, the socialization is kind of centered around drinking. And after I stopped drinking and still continued to go to some of these parties, that became very clear to me very quickly. I felt a bit like an outsider. I felt like I didn't really belong. Honestly, I started to feel like I just didn't enjoy the parties as much. I was really valuing health and personal development, and seeing everybody just voluntarily getting inebriated wasn't really my vibe. That wasn't really the environment that I wanted to be in. I was recognizing that the people that were at these kind of parties weren't really the people that I wanted to be hanging out with. Now, I ran into a little bit of conflict in that a lot of those people were my closest group of friends. But I recognized that I wasn't valuing my relationships with them as much after I stopped drinking, because that's kind of all a lot of us had in common. So as I said, it became very clear to me that these weren't the type of people that I wanted to be around. The phrase, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you your future, is quite accurate. You are, to a very large extent, the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, just through osmosis, right? We become like our friends. And after encouraging some friends to maybe try to quit drinking, telling them about meditation, that was part of why I quit drinking, and seeing that nobody was really interested, I decided I didn't want to try and change anyone. So I kind of just had to let some of those friends go. And it seemed mutual. We really didn't have much in common anymore. So I kind of distanced myself. They distanced themselves a little bit. So that was kind of the first stage. My circle got a lot smaller. I was only hanging out with a few people that I had used to. And that's because as I was growing and developing, they were growing and developing alongside me. Or I could even say I was growing and developing alongside them. Part of why I quit drinking in the first place is because I started a meditation practice, and I became a lot more mindful of what the alcohol was doing to my body, why I was using it, how I was using it as a crutch, how it wasn't really serving me. If you want to know more about why I quit drinking and the benefits of quitting alcohol, I have a whole video on that where I talk about that more. So you can go ahead and watch it over here, and I'll put the link in the description down below as well. But as I said, those friends that also got into meditation, also stopped drinking, also started to take up more healthy practices in their life, I was still bonding with those friends over those things. I've even gone to meditation retreats with a few of those friends. Those were friends that I felt inspired by. And really, as I reflect at this point in my life, the only friends that I have, and I have a lot more now, I'll get into that, are people that inspire me. I only choose to spend my time with people that inspire me, with people that share common values so we can bond over things together. And otherwise, if I'm not inspired by someone, if I don't find them interesting, if I don't share a lot of values with them, there really isn't a deep connection there that I care to spend my time harboring. So I'm glad to say now that the people that I can call my friends, I have much deeper connections with versus the friends that I had before. And I'll get into that some more with some stories here. So after I stopped drinking, after my circle got, and I only stayed friends with the people that were inspiring to me and growing and developing. One of them invited me to a gathering in the city here, downtown in Toronto. He had been to a few of these parties, and he told me that there was no alcohol. He told me that if you go on social media, you could check out these events are advertised as drug-free, conscious spaces. That was something that really interested me as someone who was just getting into meditation and who had just stopped drinking. And they were advertising them as ecstatic dances. And that was the one thing that I really missed about going to house parties and stuff like that. It was the dancing. So when my buddy told me, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll come check it out. And I met so many great, inspiring, interesting people. There was no alcohol there. Everybody was having a good time. It felt like a very judgment-free zone, which was a contrast to the house parties that I would go to that were centered around alcohol. I would feel like it was almost a beauty pageant or like a fashion show or a popularity contest where you can't really step out of line too much because you'll embarrass yourself. And, you know, everybody's kind of standing around with their drink in their hand, a little bit too cool to let loose and really dance. They're just, you know, kind of doing like a little two-step. But when I went to these parties, the first one I went to was actually on the beach, and everybody's barefoot. Some people are just in their swim shorts. Some people are in some like tattered sweaters. The contrast was very apparent, and like that judgment, that feeling of, oh, this is like some kind of beauty pageant or popularity contest was very much not there. And that was something that I really enjoyed. And they would have these events weekly, and I would go to them pretty regularly. A couple years ago, I still go to them now, but every now and again, I don't go to them as regularly as I used to. And I met a lot of cool people there, a lot of inspiring people, a lot of people that are still my friends to this day that I've developed deeper relationships with. And it's worth noting a connection between quitting drinking alcohol and these deeper connections with friends. And I think that it's because your average person who chooses not to drink tends to be more emotionally intelligent. Not to insult anybody who drinks, but, you know, if somebody makes the conscious choice not to drink, they are at the very least very aware of their impulses to chase pleasure. That is something that a lot of people who drink might not be very aware of. As I started meditating, I became aware of that impulse and aware of the fact that that's the only reason that I would still drink, because it gives you this short-term pleasure, but long-term, it's very detrimental. So I stopped drinking. And I think on average, you could say most people that choose not to drink are more emotionally aware in that sense too. And that empowered a lot of the connections that I made with these people to be very high quality. The more emotionally intelligent two people are, the deeper a relationship can go, whether it's platonic or romantic. So that was one big thing that happened to my social life, is very high quality friendships with people, and even a very high quality romantic relationship with my partner. Again, not to say that you can't have one if you do drink, but this is just something that I've noticed and something to consider. Another thing that happened, which I've already kind of spoken about, is I found some community spaces, right? The fact that these parties were going on weekly really built a bit of a community to the people that would attend them. And there's other things going on in the city that a lot of the same people would kind of show up to. And there's a bit of a hippie community down here in Toronto. And some people that are a part of this community refer to it as like a more conscious community. And it is really nice to see, to be honest with you. Like, I would agree that it does feel like a conscious community. There's other events that go on that you'll see a lot of similar faces at. Any like ecstatic dances going on in the city, drum circles, those are just a few examples. They do feel like conscious spaces where people are just having a good time, getting to know each other, developing deep relationships and friendships with other peers in their community. I've also become part of another community at the jiu-jitsu club that I train at, the academy. And that is such a beautiful space. I train there like 5 days a week. And you meet so many people from all walks of life. And when you're on those mats, when you're in that building, everybody has this common goal of getting better at something, working hard to get better at something. And it's such a beautiful space. There's this bond that happens there. And it's such a beautiful thing because it's centered around this healthy thing that we're doing, right? It's good exercise. It's good physical exercise. It's good mental exercise. I often refer to jiu-jitsu as human body chess. It's good just for your mentality in general, let alone like problem solving, but even just facing adversity. I always joke that the 8 a.m. sparring sessions that I go to are the hardest part of my day, and then it makes everything else so much easier. So there's a million benefits of jiu-jitsu. That's for another video. Bottom line though is, given that it's just like this space of self-development, you get a lot of people that tend not to drink and that eat really well and that, you know, do a lot of very healthy practices for themselves. So that's not really directly related to not drinking alcohol, but it's worth noting that that is only something that I started to do once I stopped drinking. And a lot of the guys in that gym also don't drink. So I've gone on a little bit of a rant there, but in summary, all that to say that after I quit drinking, I lost almost all my friends, but I made a lot of new friends, and those relationships, those friendships were a lot deeper. Bonds are made over things that are a lot more meaningful. Values are more aligned to healthy living within those friendships. I've tried lots of new things and joined new communities along the way. I haven't been drunk in probably almost 5 years, and my life is way better because of it. And these are some of the ways that my social life has changed in that process. If you have recently quit drinking and you are struggling with, the social adaptations, I hope this video really helps. Really, like, I've made this for you guys. If you're thinking about quitting drinking and you're worried about some of the social life ramifications, I hope this helped you as well. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I'm curious to hear some of your feedback. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.